Good afternoon, class. My name is Helen Pourmanafy. I'm doing the presentation for Chapter 8, the Social Learning Perspective. The social learning perspectives focuses on the behavior dimensions of substance use. It explores how substance use is acquired as a human behavior. It is actually also examines how the consequences of substance use feeds back on the process of learning and whether substance use can be unlearned through messages and also through groupings and sources of influence unfavorable to violations of social norms. The sources of inspiration includes Gabriel Tard in 1912 drew attention to the social process verbally. Ways of thinking and acting are passed on from group to group difference. Deviance, according to Tard, originates and spreads as faiths and fashions. And also the other source of inspiration is Edward Sutherland in 1934, that they said any person can be trained, adopt and follow to pattern of criminal behavior. And in 1937 he also observed that tutelage by professional thieves is essential for the development of skills, attitudes, codes, and connections, which are required in professional thieves. And also the other source is about Daniel Glasser, 1956, stated that differential identification rather than differential association is at the heart of deviant learning. People may never associate directly with some of their role models and reference groups. And the next source is about B.F. Skinner in 1953. Think human behaviors are shaped by the consequences they produce. Some acts lead to positive, pleasurable, or desirable outcomes, such as the presence of rewards. And the last source that is about Robert Borges and Ronald Akers in 1966 reformatted Sutherland the theory of differential association in terms of a sequence of differentially reinforced and punished by social experiences. The theoretical framework explains the social learning perspective, explains how substance abuse is a learned behavior. The core theory is a theory that explores form and content, cause and effect, subject and content, association and identification, morality and technicality. Structure and process of learning in addition to substance use as a human behavior. The social learning perspective is a theory of learning process and social behavior that struggles new behaviors are learned through observation and imitation of others. And the major of theoretical components or includes the foundation of learning, for example, nature versus nurture, modes of learning, association versus identification, content of learning, motive versus technique, and the other one is stages of learning, for example, interest versus experience. Contingency of learning, reinforcement versus punishment. And the other one is context of learning, for example, is subcultures versus social atmosphere. Having said that, the theoretical applications or includes experimental versus intellectual becomes association versus mass media. And moral versus technical is about learning. Learners becomes realizations versus emphasize techniques. Classified or unclassified becomes classified substance that may be necessary as a technically. The three levels of learning are community, culture, and historical era. Some empirical tests or includes studies focus more on unknown learnings or substances, and outcomes may vary due to the individuals being different. Or other one is about multiply studies make coverage to show a pattern. Experimentally, studies show use and their effectiveness as to how learning is impacted by conditions such as schools or intensities. The policy implications is a learning experience provides ideas and insights and might inform a more intellectual, scientific, and learned approach, or better say strategy or social action plan for substance use and abuse. The public health involves in scientific research and clinical trial to obtain accurate and systematic information about that substance being used and abused by certain groups or across the general population. Professional needs to ensure that existing information and knowledge about substance and substance use are dimensioned by timely manner to both specific targets and the general public. Some of the social control cues are learning. Each substance progresses with science and technology and rely more on research than opinion based on knowledge. Knowing rules, laws, and sanctions regarding substance and substance use are made systematically, clearly written, and publicized via media. Social control agents as responsibly, consistently, professionally, and effectively in accordance with the law. We are going to talk about life and community provides abuse by, for example, learning in unlearning behaviors in activities in daily life. Family, for example, schools, gang, peer group, and other community-based networks provide major actors of learning in substance use. Parental style serving as contingencies for the use of substance or learning of said substances. Work and organization can be sourced as learning, and learning on or unlearning via association can go hand in hand with that through identification. Days at work, for example, either positive or negative, may cause people to use substances. Workplaces can provide access to substances such as hospitals and pharmacies as well. In conclusion, we have learned that substance use, abuse, learning behavior, learning how to use substances, or moments in life, it is moments in our life such as work and social standards cause substance use can suffice just enough to cause an addiction and can cause a person to use and abuse many of drugs. Thank you very much.